What if I told you that Johnny Depp's quiet countryside retreat in East Sussex, a place you'd imagine to be calm, peaceful, and tucked away from the chaos of Hollywood, suddenly became the scene of something shocking? Picture it. Wide open fields, rolling hills, the kind of place where you'd expect nothing more dramatic than birdsong in the morning or maybe the sound of the wind through the trees. But instead, that peace was shattered by a pet disaster that has everyone talking. The story is as surprising as it sounds. One of Johnny Depp's dogs managed to get loose, and what happened next left 2 sheep dead and the neighbors in shock. For a lot of people, it raised an uncomfortable but important question. Could my dog ever do something like that? We think we know our pets. We cuddle them on the couch, we laugh at their goofy habits, we post their pictures online. But the truth is, sometimes instinct takes over, and even the gentlest dog can act in ways you'd never expect. That's what makes this story so fascinating, and honestly, a little scary. Now, don't worry, I'm not here to just give you a headline. This isn't about gossip or celebrity drama. This is about what really happened, what it means, and how every single pet owner can learn something valuable from it. Because while the setting might be Johnny Depp's countryside home, the lesson applies to all of us. Whether you live in a city apartment, a suburban neighborhood, or out in the country, the truth is the same. Being a pet parent comes with responsibility, and sometimes that responsibility means preparing for situations we'd rather not imagine. So let's talk about it. One of Johnny Depp's dogs reportedly escaped onto farmland, and once free, it attacked sheep. It's a nightmare scenario for any pet owner, and one that brings up the bigger issue: how do we stop our pets from getting into dangerous or even deadly situations? Because the reality is, accidents don't discriminate. They can happen to celebrities just as easily as to anyone else. Think about it for a moment. Have you ever had a scare where your dog ran off? Maybe you left the front door open for just a second, and before you knew it, they bolted down the street. Or maybe you've been at the park, and your pup spotted a squirrel, and suddenly you weren't even in their world anymore. They were gone, chasing after it like their life depended on it. It's a horrible feeling, that sudden rush of panic when you realize you don't have control. And if it can happen to us in ordinary situations, it makes sense that it could happen to anyone, even someone like Johnny Depp. So what's the solution? Well, let's start with the basics: security. Think of your home or yard as a playground for your dog. You might think it's safe, but dogs are escape artists. A loose board in a fence, a gate that doesn't latch quite right, even a tiny gap under the hedge, dogs see opportunities we don't. And once they're out, it can be too late. That's why secure surroundings are step 1. It's like childproofing, only instead of covering outlets and sharp corners, you're blocking escape routes. A well-built fence, a sturdy gate, regular checks for weak spots, those small steps make a huge difference. But even if your yard is Fort Knox, you still have to consider instincts. And this is where so many pet owners go wrong. We forget that dogs are animals first. Yes, there are babies, but they're also creatures with instincts built into their DNA. Herding dogs are wired to chase and control. Hunting breeds are wired to stalk and attack. Guard dogs are wired to protect at all costs. And those instincts don't vanish just because you give them belly rubs and treats. Inside the house, your dog may seem calm, gentle, and loyal. But outside, faced with a sheep, a rabbit, or even another dog, those instincts can take over in a heartbeat. It's not about being a bad dog. It's just nature. That's why one of the most important tools in your pet parenting toolbox is recall. Think about it. Have you ever shouted your dog's name, only to watch them completely ignore you? Maybe they were sniffing something interesting, maybe they spotted another dog, maybe they just didn't feel like listening. Now imagine that happening when they're charging toward livestock. In that split second, your voice could be the only thing standing between disaster and safety. Training recall takes patience. It means practicing again and again, rewarding your dog when they listen, and building that bond so strong that when you call, they respond. no matter what else is going on. It's not easy, but it's worth it. And then there's exercise. A bored dog is a dangerous dog. That's the truth. Dogs are like kids, they need an outlet. If they don't get enough physical and mental stimulation, they'll find their own ways to burn energy, and trust me, it won't be in ways you like. Daily walks aren't just about bathroom breaks. They're about burning off energy, keeping your dog balanced, and giving them the stimulation they need. Games of fetch, tug-of-war, even puzzle toys inside the house can keep a dog engaged. When a dog is tired, they're calmer, more obedient, and far less likely to go looking for trouble. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Even if you do all of that, there's still something most people don't think about: proofing. Trainers talk about it all the time, but a lot of pet owners have never heard of it. Proofing means training your dog in different environments, not just the safe space of your home or backyard. Because here's the thing, your dog might come when called in your living room, but will they do the same thing in a busy park? Or when they see a rabbit dart across the field? Or when there are sheep nearby? Proofing is about preparing your dog for the real world, the unpredictable moments where instincts kick in. That's why experts often recommend controlled exposure sessions. If you live near farms or open land, it's worth finding a trainer who can help your dog learn how to behave around livestock in a safe, structured way. It's like practice before the real test. And the good news is, you don't need to be rich or famous to do it. Many trainers offer affordable group sessions, and the investment could save you from heartbreak later. Here's another simple but powerful hack: long training leashes. If you've never used one, they're basically extra-long leashes, sometimes 20 or even 30 feet, that give your dog the illusion of freedom. They can run, explore, sniff, but you're still in control. If they decide to bolt, you can reel them back in. It's the perfect balance between freedom and safety. And while we're at it, let's not forget mental stimulation. People often assume exercise is all about running or walking, but the brain needs a workout too. A mentally stimulated dog is calmer, more balanced, and less likely to act out. Games like Find the Treat, where you hide snacks around the house, puzzle feeders, or even teaching them new tricks can work wonders. It sounds simple, but it can mean the difference between a dog that listens and a dog that acts out when instincts kick in. Think about it this way: imagine you're out on a walk, and suddenly your dog spots something in the distance, a rabbit, a cat, maybe even a sheep if you're near farmland. In that moment, you call their name. Do they stop and come back, or do they keep going, deaf to your voice, lost in the chase? That's the scenario this story reminds us of. And it's a scenario every dog owner should prepare for, because it only takes one time for things to go very, very wrong. So what's the takeaway here? For me, it's simple. Being a pet parent isn't just about the cuddles and the Instagram pictures. It's about responsibility. It's about planning ahead, training consistently, and respecting the fact that our dogs, no matter how much we love them, are still animals with instincts. When we take that seriously, we protect not just our pets, but the people and animals around them. And honestly, that's what makes this story so powerful. It's not about Johnny Depp. It's about the reminder that accidents happen, and it's our job to do everything we can to prevent them. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had a moment where your dog completely surprised you with their instincts? Maybe they chased something you didn't expect, or maybe they ignored you when it mattered most. Share your story in the comments, because your experience might just help someone else avoid the same mistake. And if you found this conversation helpful, hit that like button. It really does help more people see these videos. Don't forget to subscribe, because I've got so many more pet care stories, tips, and lessons lined up for you. And if you're looking for what to watch next, check out my video on 5 dog training mistakes that could cost you big. It's full of lessons that can save you stress, time, and maybe even a little money. At the end of the day, Johnny Depp's dog may have made the headlines, but the lesson is universal. Our dogs bring us joy, laughter, and unconditional love. And with just a little extra effort, we can make sure that the story of our pets is always one of happiness and safety, not tragedy. Because when we do our part, life with our dogs isn't just safer, it's better, fuller, and filled with all the moments that make pet ownership so special. And that's what this story is really about.